Hi, I have big sandbox news. Early access is coming this month. We don't know exactly when or how many people will be getting access. I assume only a few people at the end of the month. More people will be getting access later on. Also, there is a dev blog released this week, so I have a lot of news. I'm not going to repeat anything I covered in my previous videos. There's updates to the model editor, maps, and user interface. They've added a view model preview to the model editor. This lets you test your weapon or tool's animations very easily without having to load up the game or manually position the camera. They also added a button to import models from Garry's mod. It works with any source engine or gold source models. So, CSGO and Half-Life 1 models also work. Ideally, you'd create new assets for the new game instead of reusing old stuff though. New maps were worked on. Here we can see the first proper deathmatch map. It has an actual layout for gameplay. I assume it'll be like Half-Life Deathmatch, but with the Rust weapons. We have detailed maps that were used for testing doors and buttons. These were remade in C#, so they're very customizable. Here you can see how the doors bounce. That's adjustable. Also, the doors can push players and props, instead of just going straight through them. They created a map to define the standard sizes of objects like stairs, walls, and doors. There's an issue with this though. They use the standard sizes from Half-Life 2, which are actually huge compared to the characters. I'm going to show you something that will change your life forever. Doors in Half-Life 2 and Garry's mod are huge. You've probably never noticed this, but now that you have, you'll never unsee it. Bigger doors are actually good for fast-paced gameplay, like what Half-Life has, but it's very strange in slower-paced or realistic modes. Here you can see a real-life door versus a Half-Life Alyx size door versus a Half-Life 2 door. Personally, I'm going to be using the Half-Life Alyx door size for most of my maps. Now, we'll look at the UI menu graphics stuff. Scene render capture was added. This lets you draw 3D objects in the menus, but also onto textures. This can be used for something like creating a character selection menu, or maybe even a game within the game. It can also be used on in-game surfaces, so I bet some fancy casinos will be made. There's updates to the CSS box container. They've added better anti-aliasing and made it smoother, specifically for the animated HUD elements. Text rendering got similar improvements. It's now easier to read. If you're on Windows 10 right now, I want you to press the Windows key and period. It opens the emoji window. You can use these in-game. S&box has built-in 9-slice support that lets you easily create decorated text boxes. Basically, there are 9 sections of any box, the corners, the sides, and the middle. This will automatically fit them together to create a dynamic box. Also, they're making sure all of this conforms to the W3C standards. I don't know what that means, but if you do, that's good news. The fizz gun glow effect was worked on more. It's totally customizable. You can do pretty much anything you want with it. The visible and occluded parts of a model can have separate glows. As you can see here, there's a faint outline behind the prop. You can also use it for things like glowing loot or objectives that you can see through walls. Also, text will now auto-complete, and the use button was remade in C#. It's no longer tied to the player, so you can make NPCs or other objects press the virtual E key and open doors or interact with the world. If you're interested in modding S&box, you should join the S&box modding Discord server. Mark Mocharad and I created it a few weeks ago. There's over 500 members already, and early access isn't even available yet. It will be soon though. That's it. No more news. I don't do a community showcase when there's a dev blog, so if you want to see that next week, you'll have to like, comment, and subscribe.